At the end of this video, you should be able to describe the characteristics that identify a constellation, describe the three main types of galaxies, and explain how a quasar differs from a typical galaxy. Chapter 30, Section 3, Star Groups. When you look into the sky on a clear night, you see what appear to be individual stars. These visible stars are only some of the trillions of stars that make up the universe. Most of the ones we see are within 100 light-years of Earth. However, in the constellation Andromeda, there is a hazy region that is actually a huge collection of stars, gas, and dust. This region is more than 2 million light-years from Earth. It is the farthest one we can see with the unaided eye. Constellations. By using a star chart and observing carefully, you can identify many star groups that form star patterns or regions. Although the stars that make up a pattern appear to be close together, they are not at all the same distance from Earth. In fact, they may be very distant from one another, as is shown in Figure 1 on the screen here. If you look at the same region of the sky for several nights, the positions of the stars in relation to one another do not appear to change. Because of the tremendous distance from which the stars are viewed, they appear fixed in their patterns. For more than 3,000 years, people have observed and recorded these patterns. These patterns of stars and region of space around them are called constellations. Dividing up the sky. In 1930, astronomers around the world agreed upon a standard set of 88 constellations. The stars of these constellations and regions around them divide the sky into sectors. Just as you can use a road map to locate a particular town, you can use a map of the constellations to locate a particular star. Star charts can be found in the reference map section of the appendix of your textbook. Naming constellations. Many of the modern names we use for the constellations come from Latin. Some constellations are named for real or imaginary animals, such as Ursa Major, which means the Great Bear, or Draco, which means the Dragon. Other constellations are named for ancient gods or legendary heroes, such as Hercules and Orion. In some cases, smaller parts of constellations are well known and have their own names. The Big Dipper, for example, is part of the constellation Ursa Major. Multiple star systems. Stars are not always solitary objects isolated in space. When two or more stars are closely associated, they form multiple star systems. Binary stars are pairs of stars that revolve around each other and are held together by gravity. In systems where the two stars have similar masses, the center of mass, or barycenter, will be somewhere between the stars. If one star is more massive than the other, the barycenter will be closer to the more massive star. Multiple star systems sometimes have more than two stars. In such a star system, two stars may revolve rapidly around a common barycenter, while a third star revolves more slowly at a greater distance from the pair. Astronomers estimate that more than half of all observed stars are part of multiple star systems. Star clusters. Sometimes, nebulas collapse to form groups of hundreds or thousands of stars called clusters. Globular clusters have a spherical shape and contain up to 100,000 stars. An open cluster, such as the one shown in Figure 2 on the screen here, is loosely shaped and rarely contains more than a few hundred stars. Galaxies. A large-scale group of stars, gas, and dust that is bound together by gravity is called a galaxy. Galaxies are the major building blocks of the universe. A typical galaxy, such as the Milky Way galaxy in which we live, has a diameter of about 100,000 light-years and may contain more than 200 billion stars. Astronomers estimate that the universe contains hundreds of billions of galaxies. Distances to galaxies. Some stars allow astronomers to find distances to the galaxies that contain those stars. For example, giant stars called Cepheid variables brighten and fade in a regular pattern. Most Cepheids have regular cycles that range from 1 to 100 days. The longer a Cepheid cycle is, the brighter the star's visual absolute magnitude is. By comparing the Cepheid's absolute magnitude and the Cepheid's apparent magnitude, astronomers calculate the distance to the Cepheid variable. This distance, in turn, tells them the distance to the galaxy in which the Cepheid is located. Types of galaxies. In studying galaxies, astronomers found that galaxies could be classified by shape into 3 main types, shown on the screen here. The most common type, called a spiral galaxy, has a nucleus of bright stars and flattened arms that spiral around the nucleus. The spiral arms consist of billions of young stars, gas, and dust. Some spiral galaxies have a straight bar of stars that runs through the center. These galaxies are called barred spiral galaxies. Galaxies of the second type vary in shape from nearly spherical to very elongated, like a stretched out football. These galaxies are called elliptical galaxies. They are extremely bright in the center and do not have spiral arms. Elliptical galaxies have few young stars and contain little gas and dust. The third type of galaxy, called an irregular galaxy, has no particular shape. These galaxies usually have low total masses and are fairly rich in gas and dust. Irregular galaxies make up only a small percentage of the total number of observed galaxies.
Galaxies are composed of many billions of stars. But a galaxy is not just a collection of individual stars. Galaxies also contain clouds of gas and dust between the stars. Giant clouds of gas and dust are called nebulas. Some nebulas are the birthplaces of stars. Spiral galaxies generally contain nebulas, but elliptical galaxies contain very little dust and gas. Globular clusters contain anywhere from 20,000 to 1 million stars. They form halos around the cores of spiral galaxies and some giant elliptical galaxies. Open clusters contain a few hundred to a few thousand stars. They are found in the plane of the spiral disk of galaxies. Newly formed open clusters often contain many bright blue stars.
The Milky Way. If you look into the night sky, you may see what appears to be a cloud-like band that stretches across the sky. Because of its milky appearance, this part of the sky is called the Milky Way. The Milky Way galaxy is a spiral galaxy in which the Sun is one of hundreds of billions of stars. Each star orbits around the center of the Milky Way galaxy. It takes the Sun about 225 million years to complete one orbit around the galaxy. Two irregular galaxies, the Large Magellanic Cloud and the Small Magellanic Cloud, are our closest neighbors. Even so, these galaxies are each more than 170,000 light-years away from Earth. Within 5 million light-years of the Milky Way are about 30 other galaxies. These galaxies and the Milky Way galaxy are collectively called the local group. Quasars. First discovered in 1963, quasars used to be the most puzzling objects in the sky. Viewed through an optical telescope, a quasar appears as a point of light, almost in the same way that a small faint star would appear. The word quasar is a shortened term for quasi-stellar radio source. The prefix quasi refers to similar to, and the word stellar means star. Quasars are not related to stars, but quasars are related to galaxies. Some quasars project a jet of gas, as is shown in Figure 4 on the screen here. Astronomers have discovered that quasars are located in the centers of galaxies that are distant from Earth. Galaxies that have quasars in them differ from other galaxies in that the quasars in their center are very bright. The large amount of energy emitted from such a small volume could only be explained by the presence of a giant black hole. The mass of such black holes is estimated to be billions of times the mass of our Sun. Quasars are among the most distant objects that have been observed from Earth. At this point, you should be able to describe the characteristics that identify a constellation, describe the three main types of galaxies, and explain how a quasar differs from a typical galaxy.